Give a call to the member for Lingiari.
Thank you, Speaker. My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Women. What has the Albanese Labor government achieved for women since getting elected last May, and what's next on the government's agenda for women?
Give a call to the Minister representing the Minister for Women.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker, and can I wish all of the women in this place and across the country a very happy International Women's Day. I know many of us were delighted this morning to be able to join Minister McBain and the Tangney and Lyons families at the unveiling of the Dame Enid Lyons and Dame Dorothy Tangney's statues in the parliamentary precinct. It was a very fitting way to honour them, and we all acknowledge the ongoing work that there is to recognise women across all roles in public life. Of course, International Women's Day provides us with the chance to reflect on the accomplishment of women in our lives and where we're achieving change. This government is really proud to be leading that change. We are proud to be the first majority women's government, federal government in Australia's history. That's a huge achievement. It means that the Australian government is more representative and more diverse than ever before, and that is a result of hard work by Labor to make representation of women in parliaments a priority. In just 9 months of this government, we've already delivered cheaper childcare to help women back into work after they've had children, 10 days paid family and domestic violence leave so that no one has to choose between their safety or their job, the biggest boost to paid parental leave since the scheme was introduced by Labor in 2011, gender-responsive budgeting, and handed down our first budget with nearly a decade that cast a gendered lens over every single spending decision. The National Plan to End Violence Against Women and Children, supported by record funding of $1.7 billion. A wage increase for aged care workers where the majority are women. The National Women's Advisory Council to approve Australia's health system for women and girls. Funding and legislation to fully implement the 55 recommendations of Respect at Work. We've opened up consultation on amendments to the Family Law Act to ensure that it is less traumatic for women and children impacted by domestic, family and sexual violence. We've introduced legislation for $10 billion of the Housing Australia Future Fund, with 4,000 properties for women and children fleeing domestic and family violence. And we introduced, of course, legislation to close the gender pay gap, exposing those industries where over 100 or more workers where gender pay gaps are significant. Of course, though, we know that there is a lot more to do. We know that women still experience inequality, they get paid less, we have less superannuation, fewer assets, higher levels of domestic and family violence, greater unpaid work across caring responsibilities, and we hold fewer leadership roles. As women in this place and across the country, we know the job is never done and the job is not yet done.
I'm pleased to... On indulgence, I'll call the Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And on indulgence, I'd like to associate the opposition with the remarks of the Minister representing the Minister for Women and note that many of the measures, including the record funding for the National Plan to End Violence Against Women and their Children and record spending on women's safety, were initiated by the previous government. International Women's Day is an opportunity to celebrate the achievements of all the incredible women that contribute so much to Australian society every single day: mothers, carers, professionals, pilots, journalists, teachers, farmers, doctors or small business owners. And it is important today to reflect on the progress we've made as a society towards gender equality in Australia, while we also acknowledge that work needs to still be done. This year's International Women's Day theme, Cracking the Code, highlights the role that bold, transformative ideas and technologies can play in achieving gender equality. Mr Speaker.